Netanyahu saying there are no two leaders as coordinated as Trump and himself.
Right, we'll get to that statement in just a moment, but all this kind of plays in together. Look, there have been indications from early on in this conflict that the U.S. and Israel were not on the same page, but now we have a very clear statement, a very clear indication by a top U.S. official that the U.S. and Israel are not only on different pages from their approach to this war, by the way, which Trump calls an excursion, but also in difference in their end game and what their objectives are to this. You heard Tulsi Gabbard there, the director of national intelligence, saying that Israel is all about regime change. Israel's attack are taking out the top leaders, also going about oil and energy infrastructure and hitting those, very much to the dismay of the Trump administration, while Donald Trump's objectives are stated as going after the ballistic missile production, ballistic missile launching capabilities, taking out the Navy, their mine-laying capabilities. So from a top U.S. official, there are different approaches, very much on a different page. It's very significant, and words matter, okay? So look at Benjamin Netanyahu's statement that no two leaders are more on the same page. I forget how he phrased it, but he also said that Israel acted alone when attacking Pars South in Iran. Now, quite literally, that may be true, but the coordination to that is likely going to involve the U.S., and Donald Trump has been asked about that today at the White House. He defended this also last night, but there's a difference of opinion also on that front. Donald Trump has posted about this late Wednesday evening, saying that the U.S. and Qatar did not know anything about the strike on Pars South by Israel, did not know about it in advance, not involved in any way, shape, or form. It was reported by the Wall Street Journal earlier that Donald Trump did know in advance about it, approved it, thought it was a great idea to send the message to Tehran in this way, in that attack, for the blocking of the Strait of Hormuz, and Donald Trump thought the message had been received by Tehran, so it was no longer needed that you continue to strike energy and oil infrastructure. And obviously, from the tone of that post by Donald Trump, he was very, very upset about Israel doing that, and he's gone on to say again today that Israel's not going to be doing that anymore, according to Donald Trump in this war. But all of these are indications that there are different goals, there are different approaches, even though the two leaders continue to say that there are no other leaders as close as they are. Back to you.
Craig, where does that leave the idea that we hear very often said that this is Israel's war and not the US's?
Right, and that is something that Donald Trump, again, was asked about today at the White House. That is a consistent line of questioning that the White House and Donald Trump has not really been able to fully defend. Members of Congress also asking that same question. Was it Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel that led the U.S. into this war? We've had the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, and other members of the administration kind of indicate that the U.S. got involved in this because there was an indication that Israel was going forward with their attack and that the U.S. didn't want to just defend its interest, and then had to walk that back just a little bit. So we've had the administration a little bit back on its heels on trying to defend that and trying to now get out in front of that and saying that that is not indeed the case. But you have to look at what is said, what has been said.